Next up, it's our weekly film segment, Movie Spotlight, reviewing some of the latest releases at the Korean box office and online. And giving their considered thoughts, as always, on the releases are our film critics. To my right, we have Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello.
Hello, Jangho.
Yes, and Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year.
And to my left, we have Darcy Paquet with us as well. Darcy, hello, and Happy New Year to you too.
Hi, thank you. Happy New Year.
Okay, so to kickstart the year, we have a local release and an international one to look at today. Starting off with the local release, it's a body swap comedy called Switch. It has the same title in Korean as well. It stars Kwon Sang-woo in the lead role, and it's about a famous actor who unexpectedly gets to live out an alternative life path. The film opened at number 5 at the box office this week. So, Darcy, there seems to be almost a Dickensian Christmas Carol sort of vibe to this film. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, definitely. I think under normal circumstances, I think they would have wanted to release this closer to Christmas. But I'm guessing a little movie called Avatar had something to do with that. But I mean, it centers on an actor named Paquet. It's played by Kwon Sang-woo. And he's very successful. He's rocketed to the top of an industry with some very successful roles. At the start of the film, we see him collecting these awards and involved in various scandals and also generally behaving quite badly. He has a manager who's played by Oh Jung-se, and the manager is a former actor himself, as well as Paquet's best friend. And they go out drinking on Christmas Eve, and they talk a bit about Paquet's former girlfriend, who's played by Lee Min-jung, who he broke up with in order to concentrate on acting. And so on the way home, this actor gets into a rather unusual looking taxi, and you get some odd music coming over the soundtrack, and the taxi driver is rather odd, keeps asking him if he's happy with his life. And the taxi driver promises him a special kind of present. And then when he wakes up the next morning, he discovers that he's no longer a famous actor, that he's married to his former girlfriend. He has 2 kids, and he's back to being a poor and unknown actor.
Right, so it's not exactly a body swap, I guess, but it is a life swap as such, perhaps somewhere in between a body swap comedy and the film Trading Places, something like that. Jason, this movie is directed by Ma Dae-yoon. Can you tell us a bit more about him?
Yeah, he's had quite a bit of experience as a screenwriter, though mostly as a script doctor on films like The Phone, La Last Princess, The Accidental Detective, and his directorial debut was with the family comedy My Little Brother, Korea24 from 2016, which didn't really take off in any big way, but had got some decent ratings among netizens. And this is his second, sophomore feature, and the first one based on his own original screenplay. The original title was A Christmas Present, and it was shot during the middle of the pandemic, so challenging time indeed.
Right, so Darcy, it's not perhaps an entirely original idea, but nonetheless, it could be quite fun. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I think that's kind of the Korean film industry's bread and butter these days, is taking a very familiar type of concept and story but doing it fairly well. And, I did enjoy the film. I went to see it with my teenage son, and he liked it as well. It has a lot of funny moments. It has good acting. I think, Kwon Sang-woo is an actor who's gone back and forth between kind of these tough guy roles. He's famous kind of for his body, but he's also played romantic roles throughout his career, and he's decent in this. Oh Jung-se is really great, and there is a bit of a swap in that sense because, Oh Jung-se becomes the famous actor in this alternate life. And
bringing back memories from How to Use Guys with Secret Tips. For those who've seen that. Directed by Lee Won-suk.
Yeah, and then there's Lee Min-jung, who I haven't seen on screen for a long time. She she appeared in quite a few romantic comedies earlier in her career. She married Lee Byung-hun, who is mentioned in the film in kind of a funny way. But yeah, the chemistry works, and I liked it.
Okay, and Jason, what about you? Did you enjoy it as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a film I'd rave about. Clearly it's kind of manufactured. It's got an audience in mind, but you can't help but just be kind of enamored by its charm, and the performances are terrific. I really like Lee Min-jung. Interesting kind of dynamics in terms of gender as well that I quite liked in the film. And yeah, it's one of those films that just kind of, you go in, you might feel a little bit depressed or not in the best mood. You come out feeling actually kind of happy. And so as soon as I had to dash out of the screening, but I was thinking, okay, this is going to be pretty popular with audiences, and kind of checking the netizen scores, and surprisingly, it was really quite high. It is a film that you could watch at home, though. It's not cinematic in any way,
right.
So I do wonder whether it will play pretty well on streaming services as opposed to in cinemas. But yeah, it's certainly one to watch. It was a bit weird in terms of the timing. It's kind of, we had Christmas, and it's set during Christmas, but like Darcy said, something called Avatar might have derailed their plans.
Yes, that small film, as Darcy said. Yes, and Kwon Sang-woo, he does seem to enjoy playing comedy roles as well.
Yeah, I think he's good at it. I mean, there are moments towards the end of the film in particular where I think another actor would have kind of over-emoted in certain scenes and tried to be funnier, or tried to, be more kind of moving and in these particular scenes. And he just kind of lets it happen. And so I like that aspect of it. And he worked well with the other actors as well.
Okay, so that was Switch, and it's out now in Korean cinemas. Our second film of the week is a major Netflix release. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. It is, of course, the sequel to Knives Out, the hugely successful and popular whodunit from 2019. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival and enjoyed a brief theatrical run in North America, but in Korea, it's only being shown on Netflix. So, Jason, can you tell us more about this series of films?
Yeah, clearly anyone familiar with Agatha Christie, will certainly be able to see the, similarities or the influences. Certainly there is the vibe to the original film, which centered on a very famous writer and his greedy family in contemporary Massachusetts. And in particular, that in that film is introduced the character of Benoit Blanc, played wonderfully with a really weird accent.
It's a weird accent.
By Daniel Craig. He's private detective, kind of like Poirot, but from the southern US. So he's a really fascinating character that Daniel Craig is just absolutely brilliant at playing. And so the cast there is headed by Ana de Armas, and made Knives Out was one of the most popular films based on an original screenplay. So, but you have to bear in mind that Hollywood is so kind of reliant on franchises, sequels, and this is something that really stood out. And Ryan Johnson, he's clearly a very talented scriptwriter. He likes working with these actors, and they seem to have a great time on set, and they've brought, now with the sequel, it's completely new setting in Europe during the pandemic, and lots of references to, I say lots, but a few references at the beginning to the pandemic. So yeah, set in Greece, and another murder mystery, and Ryan Johnson certainly likes to kind of turn things on its head, and he does that in his film. So it is kind of a bit of Agatha Christie in there, but it's also feels very original.
Right, so the only real connection to the first film is Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc. So Darcy, can you give us an overview of the plot of this film, but of course without giving too many details away?
I'll try. The film, it opens with invitations being sent out to this select group of people for what they're referring to as a murder mystery party, which is going to take place on this private island in Greece over several days. The invitations themselves are quite creative, and that provides a setup for one of the funniest moments in the film, I think. But the host of this party is a billionaire tech guru named Miles Brun, played by Edward Norton. And, the guests are a really colorful group, and it includes, like, the governor of Connecticut. There's this fashion designer who kind of can't keep her mouth under control. There's this men's rights YouTuber, and then unexpectedly, another person who's invited is the estranged co-founder of the company that made Miles into a billionaire. And, there's since been court cases, and everyone is aware that they kind of hate each other, but here she is at this party. And then somehow Benoit Blanc has ended up being invited as well, although nobody's quite sure how that happened. So, yeah, I mean, you have a remote setting, you have a lot of people who hate each other, and then a lot of money involved, and then Benoit Blanc is kind of poised perfectly to step in when a real murder does take place.
Right, so Jason, it seems from your description earlier of the series, you rather enjoy this.
Oh, I love these films. They're terrific. It's a breath of fresh air into the industry. Ryan Johnson, he's so witty throughout, in his scripts. And the visuals are terrific. Although if I'm going to compare them both, I like the visuals more in the first film, but I think the screenplay is better in the second. It's not to say that the first film doesn't have a great screenplay, because it does, but I think he kind of ups his game. I just had a real blast. You got the kind of Elon Musk character at the center of the story. They just all seem to be having a great time making this film. It's great ensemble cast. It's kind of, you think it's predictable actually, but by the second half of the film, it's like, oh my goodness, this is where it's going. So yeah, it's he plays around with your mind quite a bit, and lots to enjoy in this film. The only criticism I have is that this is a film that must be seen on a big screen and with a crowd. Because if you're just watching at home on your computer or on TV, you just lose something. I don't know if Darcy agrees with me on that, but when I watched it before it was released, and I was like, oh my goodness, I really want to see this, with a group of people, because it's that collective experience. It adds something, and you lose that when you're watching on Netflix.
Right. Darcy, what about you? Did you enjoy it as well?
I did really enjoy it. I'm a big fan of the original. I don't know. It's sort of, comparing the two, I think some people will like the second, some people will like the first. I did really enjoy the first, and I've seen it several times, and I love Ana de Armas's character. And so this one, it does kind of move in a very different direction. It's very fresh in that sense and unexpected. I look forward to rewatching it in the future, because it has a lot of interesting details that you may not catch with the first screening.
Yeah.
But I totally agree about the big screen experience.
Yeah, so if you do watch as a family.
Right.
Yeah, at home. That's
So
the next best thing, right?
Enjoy all the twists and turns that last together, basically. And there is, of course, at least one more sequel to come after a Netflix bid an extraordinary amount for the rights to the film. $450 million US dollars.
That's crazy.
For this and the next film, yeah.
But they know that, this is going to be incredibly popular for the service. It'll help drive subscriptions.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Jason, Darcy, thank you as always for your reviews, and we'll catch up with you again next time.
Okay, have a great weekend.
Take care. Bye-bye.